I'm glad I saw this movie.
Me too. Well,
I wished it had the first like 10 minutes are so profoundly, weirdly horrifying. I wish that the other.
Can you hear me now?
I wish the other 90 were as good as the first 10, but the first 10, like whatever that the fucking thing in the corner. I'll tell you, I would have liked to have seen this in a better print, provided it exists.
There isn't a better print. He intentionally made it look like this.
Well, yes, but right. So I poked around. I tried to find a better quality copy of this thing. I know that at one point this thing was put on celluloid and projected.
Yes, I saw.
I don't know what I'm losing from the YouTube translation, but the version that we all watched at one point, I think, had scan lines as if it was on a VCR. So, yeah, I would have liked to. I mean, the DVD's like $80, so I'm not about to shell out for that.
This movie was printed once on VHS and once on DVD. The director swears up and down that there's a Blu-ray coming, but he's been saying that for 5 years and it still hasn't happened.
Because I'm sure, like most of you guys, I probably said to myself about 150 times, "What am I looking at?" And maybe if this had been a slightly better print, I wouldn't have said that as much. Yeah. But I give this guy credit. He had a thing, and he was fully committed to that thing.
Completely committed.
I'm going to make a movie that looked like it was shot in the 20s and then buried in a pit for 50 years. And
no. He literally has a quote where he said he didn't want this movie to look like it was from the 20s. He didn't want this movie to look like it was from the 1880s. He wanted it to look like it was from the time of Christ. He wanted this to be the visual equivalent of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
A rarely expressed era of filmmaking.
Guess what? Mission accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
It's completely incomprehensible, much like most of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
But I'm like, wow, this is fucked up.
Well, let me circle around to Jared here, because Jared and I went, did our time in film school, right? And we've seen films like this. You and I, Dog Star Man. This is like Sam Brakhage stuff. This is a lot like George Kuchar stuff. It's just it's non-linear.
Of what, Jim?
Visually, it's just it for that. Once I got used to the cadence of it, it kind of washed over me that like it was a throwback to film school. And I got a kick out of it because you don't see this stuff anymore.
No.
Thank God.
This is a unique thing.
Mm-hmm.
I saw.
No, I couldn't.
I reviewed this movie for a radio program that I was on with Carl Russo. It played at the San Francisco International Film Festival, and Marriage was there in the audience.
Oh, wow.
The audience. This was at the Kabuki Theaters, is where I saw.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was projected. I remember it being dense and not pixelated, but grainy. But it definitely was clearer than the version we saw.
Yeah, that's what
I couldn't tell what was happening. Like most of the images, I was
a lot of it. You're like, what the hell is that? What am I looking at?
Yeah.
What was happening? What was happening? What was
happening? A simple story.
I think maybe the reason
God disembowels himself.
Okay.
And then Mother Earth is born from the disembowelment.
Okay.
She takes his semen and impregnates herself and gives birth to mankind. Jacks him off, yes. And gives birth to mankind.
Right.
Mankind is left to die in the desert. Mankind is revived. Mankind is murdered by the nomads. She comes back, resurrects him. They're both murdered by the nomads after an incredibly brutal rape scene.
Yes.
They're chopped up, they're buried, and then life grows from the place that they were buried. That's the story.
It's a great, big, wide, happy, wonderful world we live in.
That was beautifully done, man.
I think that I don't know. I didn't really see films like this in my film school that much, Scott. But maybe if you did, there's a reason these are shown in film school, and I think they should fucking stay there.
No, I take it back. I saw it when I was going to San Francisco Art Institute.
Oh yeah, I guess this is more
non-narrative avant-garde film. Is that there's their thing? That's what
I feel like you would see this in an art museum before like a film class or even a theater. But yeah,
no, it measures up to some of the efforts. The pre-digital mid-century avant-garde films.
I appreciate how much work it must have been to get it to look like this.
Oh,
yeah, I saw something that was like 8 hours per minute.
10 hours per minute.
Yeah. Like that's commitment, man.
In it's some German dude's fucking processing studio on 48th Street in New York because he tried to go to every single fucking processing place in the area and be like, "Hey, can you do this?" And they were like, "No, man, we can't. We have like real work to do." And he found some German expat who, like, I guess probably
and they're also like, "I don't want to watch those fucking images, man."
Probably owned
no one looks, don't
dirt
worry.
that film store was on top of, and then he was like, "Yeah, you can go use the optical printer. Fuck it, I don't care."
Yeah,
like you're paying me $20 an hour, so good luck.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to this guy? Because so I saw he got to start. Looks like doing some Marilyn Manson videos.
Mm-hmm.
No, he got to start.
Wow, what a jump!
Well, he did this.
He worked for Disney.
Well, he did Shadow the Vampire.
Yeah, then he does that, and then which I remember liking, and then a couple other things, and then like now he's back to do like an Interpol video.
Yeah,
he did. He's doing a bunch of stage production. He's directing stage productions, which this was supposed to be a stage production.
Okay, you know what? Weird enough, it'd make more sense that way.
But his buddy, who he was stoned with when they came up with the plot for this, and they were talking about the comparative religion class they both half remembered from 10 years before, was like, "You can't afford that, man. Like, you can't." And then they got a bunch of their theater friends and went around and shot this in 3.5 months, and then spent 3 years trying to get it.
I would love to see the making of.
No,
this is a movie that I would way prefer to watch a making of than actually watch the movie.
Yeah. Again, I think we're a little hamstrung because it was 320. It was like the lowest resolution on.
Yeah.
And that's even that isn't even a DVD. DVD is 480, right? So we're missing something.
But here's the thing: I had to hit pause 4.5 minutes into this thing when that dude behind you, Scott, showed up. I was like, "Okay, hold on." I'm not like, "Wow, that's really fucking weird and creepy," and I need another drink before I'm gonna hit start again.
I don't blame you, man.
that is the creepiest image. Is the first image.
The first thing, like, that's nightmare fuel.
Right, for sure.
And we haven't even talked about the sound effects, which is, like I said, runs the gamut from all of the crickets to someone being strangled in a very deep pool.
Yeah. And a fireplace crackle. Yeah. That kept timing it. Crackle.
No, and it reminded me
crackle. It was like it was on a loop. There's on 60 millimeter.
There was definitely one thing on a loop.
I think his name was.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful. The sound design was really interesting.
The sound design was really interesting, even if there were a lot of crickets.
So
I was thinking a lot about like what it must have been like to be on the location, and the director's like, "Okay, faceless cannibal number 1, take the bloody rag out of his mouth. Now caress the rag. Son of Earth, don't stop twitching your hands. Twitch more. Twitch more. Good."
Yes.
The rehearsal must have been fascinating. Okay, do it like this. No, do it like this.
No, this was all in camera. He's in the background yelling the whole time. Like,
so
twitch more.
Are those your notes behind you, John?
I did a breakdown of sort of the sections in case it would be helpful for us as we're talking about parts of the movie. And this is what I called the different parts. So there's vomit, birth, hand job.
Okay.
Coffins and pregnant lady, Dragon Torture 1, then fire, then rapish, because it was kind of hard to see, but it looked like Mother Earth was getting, hit pretty hard there.
Yeah.
And then Dragon Torture 2, because there was a lot of the 2 ropes and what was his name? Son of Man, flesh on bone. Son of Earth, flesh on bone.
A lot of umbilical cords. There's a lot of umbilical cords.
Yeah.
The rope thing reminded me a lot of L'Âge d'Or, Buñuel's second movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're dragging rotting carcasses sitting on top of pianos.
Yep.
And a couple of.
I thought that was in Un Chien Andalou.
It might be on Chien Andalou.
Or actually,
because I haven't seen L'Âge d'Or, but I remember that image of them dragging the piano.
And one of them is Salvador Dali.
One of the corpses.
The middle of Eraserhead too, where it said these guys that Henry's dragging this giant sperm out of the woman.
Oh yeah.
I know
that kind of texture.
I hadn't seen anything quite like this in a while, and for that, I give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's
Are you fucking kidding
No,
me?
me too, man.
This movie sucks.
Okay. Movie.
Boring as shit.
I don't even think it's. I don't think it's
I
a fucking
only
movie. It's
paused
not a
it
movie.
once.
It's boring as shit. I had 10 minutes left in this movie last night, and I procrastinated watching it for an hour and a half, which is the runtime of this movie, because I was so fucking bored by it. Like I cannot possibly express to you how little I cared about anything that was happening on the screen. I wasn't horrified by it. I wasn't intrigued by it. It literally was just trash. It was
so if you can like play that back, what exactly what Tad just said, that's my opinion on both movies this week.
Oh well, okay.
Like that is so you guys
Very
can just.
bold.
I'm gonna
save it for 5 minutes from now.
I'm gonna go watch the
Gauntlet.
Academy Awards, and you guys can just play back what Tad just said.
But this one
kiss
again.
my
Once I
ass.
got the cadence of the film down, it was realized it was kind of a non-linear, avant-garde story.
It's completely linear.
Well, you know what? It is.
It's
Completely
point A to
It
point.
is.
Who the fuck
Yeah, but it's
cares?
like
But it
montage
absolutely
cinema.
is linear.
Okay.
It's symbolic. It's allegorical, but it is not. It is not non-linear.
It's a symbolic narrative. Okay. Either way, I knew what I was in. Once I got that, I bought into the ride. You know what I mean? Once I understood what
I'm with Scott on that
how
one.
it was being said, I had no problem with it. Actually, I was kind of riveted the entire time.
That said, I think the ride was a little too long because I think Dragon Torture 2 and Plaid Monster Coal Mine just went on and on. I couldn't see what those guys were doing down in the pit. I guess they were smashing their organs into holes at one point.
The visual block was bad, and just you couldn't see what was happening half the time. That was
I don't think if you could see what was happening, it would be better.
Torture. Someone being beaten to death.
It would be better if you could see what's happening. It's weird.
No.
That's not the problem.
The problem is that nothing interesting is happening. It's just like I will say it again. These two guys got stoned, half remembered a comparative religion class and was like, oh yeah, like Osiris, like, yeah, his daughter was born from, and it's just like, it's literally like listening to two stoned people talk about something.
Which is what most horror movies are like.
Well, if you were going to make a film about the
slasher,
there were scenes
Most slasher films.
Hey, guess what? I don't like those either.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to make a film about the creation of humankind from a mythology, how would you do it? This is a legitimate.
Well, it's obviously made by atheists.
I wouldn't make that film.
For the second week in a row, I'm bringing up Mother, Aronofsky's movie.
Okay.
La, 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 la.
All right. I had to cut that stuff out the last.
I just thought like there were shots where like even through its grainy, blurry mess, I'm like, well, that's really striking.
Yeah.
That image.
Mm-hmm.
Like there
you
was
know, hold on.
like, well,
what?
Really striking.
What was striking? What was it?
I found it aesthetically very interesting. Lots of like even the shot behind me.
I like the pointy trees.
Yeah, the pointy tree
and the
thing,
sunset, the sunrise,
like
going
the
on.
shot.
Also,
on one of the movie posters where it's just the silhouettes against the white background. I thought was really interesting.
Which is the one image from the movie they have on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, right.
That's because you can see what it is.
Right.
Also, the weird costumes that the nomads have, they're kind of like got plaid looking. They're like.
I appreciated the fact that a lot of this movie looked like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I did. I appreciate that.
And like I said, once I bought into, oh man, I don't like have to worry about dialogue. I'm just going for a ride here.
You know what else this reminded me of was like, you know, the tape that the people watch before they die in the ring.
Well,
if that was feature length,
in our chat, what that is. Immediately, like, oh great, I'm gonna die in 7 days now. Thanks, Jim.
But I don't know. Yeah. Then the phone rang.
You're welcome.
You know what makes this film unique is the challenges that the filmmaker had. Shot in 16. Reprocessed it in optical printers forever and ever until he got the look he had. Nowadays, everything's digital.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier to do now digitally on that.
All
nowadays, you can do it on an
challenges,
iPhone.
all those challenges are self-imposed
with an Instagram filter.
Yeah, 100%.
75,000 Instagram filters.
Well, but hold on. But yes, he had to do this all old school analog.
Yeah.
And again, whether you appreciate the finished product, I appreciate how committed he was to what he had.
He was committed to the bit. I'll give you that.
To get it.
At least we can agree on that.
Yeah.
We can all agree he was committed to the bit. Congratulations.
It's like committed to this bit.
I just don't like the bit.
I mean,
no.
I found it much more intriguing than some of the horror flicks we've seen.
Interesting. And more this, but you think this is better than It Follows?
Go on.
You was the one. Yeah, you like this better than Possessor.
Yeah.
I like this better than Possessor. I like this better than Possessor.
I just bought Possessor.
You guys are all insane.
Yeah, you and me both.
All crazy.
I just got it on Blu-ray.
Ditto, 4K.
Uh-oh,
I kind of want to see Possessor again. It's kind of creeping back into my mind.
Yeah, it's so good. I can't wait to go watch the uncut version again.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get.
I can't even remember what Possessor is about.
Oh, we're getting the vaudeville hook from Scott now because John was late on the fucking recording.
So let's get some thumbs.
If I had more thumbs, I would.
Okay. I
all right with it. My thumbs up Jared's ass.
So good mix.
These are my thumbs down Jim's throat, and hopefully.
I know this movie was incredibly polarizing.
He's gonna vomit and give birth to the earth.
Polarizing was one of the filters that they used on the optical printer.
Oh, shut up, bomb.